you too. Thank you so much for being here and for joining
Yeah,
us.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah. No, I'm really happy that you are part of this mission with us. And your offerings, your profile, your presence, it's a very nice alignment with what we're aiming to do here.
Hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to just getting to know you better, but also allowing you to share your story, journey and perspective on holistic healing with the world. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Again, it's really nice to be with you. I love what you're doing. I love the mission. So this is exciting.
Yeah, exactly. So this chat is it's a really like informal, fun, light way to help the community get to know you better.
Yeah.
That's really its essential purpose, Maria, which
Mhm.
is to give our members and also everyone who just is interested in holistic healing the opportunity to get to know you from an energy perspective,
Yeah.
and then also a practical perspective in terms of your
Mhm.
offerings, your story, stuff like that. So
Great.
yeah. So the way I like to kick these off is by asking you to share a bit about your past
Mm.
with us in terms of the journey you've been on in this earthly life and how it's led you to the now, at this moment. And in particular context to um, your holistic offerings with Ayurveda,
Yep.
nutrition, health coaching in general. So
Yeah. No, well, thank you so much. Yeah, so my journey, well, I could say if I go back, my journey with holistic, all things holistic and integrative really started some years ago when I started a job. I've been working in media for a long time, and it was a great job, a great company, but I ended up working for someone who was not a very nice person, and it was one of my very first jobs out of college. So I didn't really, I don't think I had the tools to handle somebody like this, and so I started experiencing like dizziness and I was getting like vertigo, and I was breaking out in hives. And I went to the doctor. I'm like, what? I didn't know what it was. And of course, they wanted to just give you a pill and send you, here's your pill. Oh, you've got anxiety. Here's your pill. Well, it did end up being some anxiety from the job, but that's not the way I decided to handle it. So I always my mother was always very holistically minded. She's like, nope, don't take a pill. There's a plant for that, kind of attitude. And so I started diving into things like yoga, meditation, and then it just spiraled. I went to a Reiki practitioner for some energy healing, and it really I healed as a result. And then of course, that you go deeper into the process, and it was just such a transformation that I never had it again. You know, that kind of experience with that kind of anxiety. I've had like little bouts of it over the years, but knowing how to handle it. Um, but the fact that doing all these other things to me was just amazing, to find these ways of just coping with situations, whatever it is. And there's so many doors that you can go through for what works for you.
yeah.
And then, fast forward about 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and I had already been steeped in, which is just it's a hypoactive thyroid, which is sluggish, but it's the autoimmune part. And again, it's probably research on my part because I love that. I literally went to 10 doctors, some integrative and some conventional. And it was the same thing. And not until I decided to go to an Ayurvedic doctor, did everything change. I, you, you never know I had it. I feel great. I haven't been on medication, but so over the years, like it's just all of these little signs that keep coming in. Um, and it's been my journey really to help other women, and help anyone really in general with, if they want this introduction into the importance of the things we hear about constantly, right? We know you have to, eating is important. Food is your medicine. We know it. But until doctors start putting that on a prescription pad, you know, hey, food is your medicine. Um, we need people like all of us to keep spreading the word about that.
Yeah.
You know, you have to watch your stress. All of these things that, you know, we know, but I think just, you know, it bears repeating. So, and then, you know, I thought the nutrition was important. So I went to get I didn't want to have a certification for me at the time. So I went and got a master's degree in that. I went and got a master's degree in integrative medicine, became an herbalist, a clinical aromatherapist, a yoga teacher. I mean, I went full in, you know.
Good for
because,
you.
because once you start learning about all of this and how everything's connected, I feel like now I've got a real toolbox to help people. So, you know, that I can pull from. And then I decided finally, well, this Duke program came along for health and wellness coaching. And I thought, well, this is honestly, a great opportunity to at some point move on from what I've been doing in my day gig into this all full time, because I love it. And I think that so many people can be helped by it. And I think more now than ever before we need it. I think with the mental health crisis, there's so many valuable tools to offer people. So I think it's really, really timely.
Yes. Yeah. Couldn't agree more with you on that. And actually everything you've said right now. But the timeliness of the work we're doing, the contributions that we're offering to healing and how we view healing and looking at the root causes and treating at that level. It's just because the problem's grown to such a large extent that it can't not be unnoticed at this point. So like it's so extreme that it's hard to miss, you know, in terms of the mental health crisis, the levels of suicide, addiction, overdose, the plagues that, you know, at one point in time were kind of lower in terms of their incidence rates. Now it's so significant that we have to wake up, because if we don't, what's the alternative? In my view, it could and may just well be self-assured destruction if we don't actually take corrective action right now. So that's why, you know, with my own, and I felt that first in myself, Maria, as it sounds like you did too, in terms of like coming into that intuitive understanding that westernized approaches, taking pills, weren't the answer to actually heal and to correct the dysfunction that we are going through. So, you know, I sense that this is where the world is trending now, and it's kind of what led to the birthing of Awakenpedia and to the birthing of this partnership program, which is why we're talking today. So, what an opportunity, right? In order to really serve the world, serve humanity, to be able to actually help people help themselves and not just do things for profit, not just do things, you know, that look good, but under the surface are actually exacerbating the issue. So anyway, long-winded way of saying kudos to you for actually being able to lean into this, especially from, you know, at an earlier time in the world when even fewer people were going down that path.
Oh yeah, no, that's the other thing is I'm so happy to see that even like something like Ayurveda, which people never heard of, has really taken root in the West now, and people know what that is. But you know, but also no, kudos to you for doing this, because I think this is, we have to get the word out, you know, more and more, and it takes platforms like this in order to help more people and get the word out about this stuff, because it really is important. And I think you're right. I think we're at a really, this is a really serious time on this planet, with everything that's going on and the levels of stress, you know, especially. And then of course, you know, that infiltrates into other areas of your life. People can't sleep. I mean, I have so many clients and talk to so many people that sleep is such an issue. And we know that if you don't sleep, you don't heal. And then people, I think, are also seeking like a spiritual life too.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to figure it all out, right? As we all are, right? It's a journey. It's not a destination.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And I mean, look, the way that I think kind of the essence of what we're pointing to here is that in the old way, old model, um, it's perpetuating that survival mode mentality and state of being, and that can only be active for so long before things start to break down. We can't remain in a chronic stressful state without our machinery breaking down and issues manifesting in levels of mind and body that we call illness. um, so we, regulating the nervous system and having these approaches like Ayurveda, and understanding what we put into our body is affecting us. All these different modalities that we look at are ultimately helping us to calm down, to regulate our nervous system, to come back into safety, and then to be able to start looking at correcting a lot of the underlying dysfunctions. But until we can actually like just calm down, we're preventing our own ability to heal. So, um, I see that the stuff we're doing here is such important work, so needed, and I feel really honored and blessed to have you on the team with us to support this mission, and providing your thought leadership in your respective modalities to assist this. Because it really does take a village, and that's why Awakenpedia has been such a collaborative effort from day one.
Yeah.
It's not about me. It's not about Awakenpedia. It's about the mission, which is healing, transmuting suffering into peace, and being able to bring more love, happiness, and joy to the world.
Oh, no, you said it beautifully. That's it. Because without that, then, what is this all about, right? If
Yeah.
not to just, to bring peace and happiness and
Yeah.
health. I mean, it's, you heard that expression, right? I heard it from my grandmother, like, oh, your health is your wealth. But it's true.
So
It's still true. And the mind, body, spirit, that term is very, I think, some people can say it's kind of played out. Oh yeah, we've heard that. But if you sit and think about it, all of those things combined are really important, right? We know the mind isn't separate from the body, and the body's not separate from the mind. We know that now. But it is, and the other thing why I went into health coaching was because I realized through other consults that you can't tell people what to do, right? It's even when, with nutrition consulting and Ayurveda, which is a wonderful system of medicine, but it can be hard to follow. And so when you're coaching somebody, they're the CEO of their life, their body,
right.
and their mind. They have to decide, and we all do, are we ready to make changes? And we have to decide within ourselves what those changes are. We have it in us, all of
Yeah.
us. But we have to make that decision. But if somebody's coming at you and saying, don't eat sugar, don't do this, don't do that, you're going to be like, oh, you know, you feel like you're being scolded by a parent.
Right.
So, so it really is an awakening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's such an important point. Thank you for bringing that up, because and not to call out my mother here, but calling out my mother, I've been trying to show her and share like a lot of these insights that I've come into with her, and it's just not the right time. I couldn't make her see how I saw, because she hadn't yet awoken herself, and she wasn't ready to. And that's okay. But what we're witnessing is that more and more people right now are ready. They're ready to receive this type of alternative healing methodologies and solutions, because they're starting to actually become aware of the value that they provide. And that's why this is happening right now. And why it's so exciting as well. But let's transition into your specific containers. I want to hear a bit more about what you actually are doing in terms of your offerings. I know you have a few modalities that you focus on as your key topic areas. Can you just talk a bit about what specifically you offer, how you offer it, stuff like that?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, I'm a health and well-being coach. So basically, I work one-on-one. I work one-on-one and also group coaching, for different topics. I mainly focus on nutrition because I have a nutrition background. But weight management, stress, sleep, anything that really helps you improve your life. And I've been coaching a lot of women that have Hashimoto's, have thyroid disease. And the other branch of it is nutrition, as I said before, and then Ayurveda, which for those people that are not familiar, it's the Indian system of medicine. That's over 5,000 years old. So there's a lot of, that's a good long track record. And so, but, and Ayurveda really looks at people, everyone's an individual. And we're all different and we all should be treated as such. I may have the same illness as somebody else. Like my Hashimoto's, I wouldn't treat necessarily somebody else that has it the same way I was treated for it, because you're different and you require different things. Your nutritional needs are different. So it's really personalizing plans for each person. And I do use herb. I'm also an herbalist and an aromatherapist, so which we also use a lot in Ayurveda. So I bring those into my practice. But even when I'm counseling someone on nutrition, it's functional nutrition, which is, functional medicine is root cause medicine. Even when I'm doing that and I'm noticing, okay, well, they want to improve their diet or help to heal some illness, but I see the stress there. So I would say, well, what about some lavender oil? What about a diffuser? Bring that into it to help them. Yeah, you're here for nutrition, but you're also talking about your stress levels. So maybe there's some other tools that you can bring into this. So maybe you can sit down and have a meal where you're actually enjoying that meal mindfully, and bringing the mindful eating into that. So I like to kind of pull all these things in without overwhelming anyone. Yeah, I think that's important too. We're overwhelmed enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your approach and your philosophy in regards to customization, personalization, looking at each human being as the individual that they are, in the sense that we all carry a unique energetic signature, and that vibration is unique to you. And I often use that analogy of the snow because I just think it's so applicable. But we're like snowflakes in the sense that every snowflake is actually unique. There's no two that are the same, and yet it's all of snow. And so, right, when you look at the snow as it is, the blanket on the field, it looks like one because it is one, but at that micro level, every snowflake is unique. And so that's where, with human beings, we have to see that the same way. We're of the same essence, but the way that essence is expressed is what varies. And that's what makes us human beings, being human. And
Right.
it's a very delicate dance this is the artistry of holistic healing. And what makes this something that isn't a science as much as it is an art, and why we lead through our hearts and not through our minds. Right? And it's
Beautifully said.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I thank you for speaking to how you serve and provide your services, because it shows me and everyone who's tuning in that you see that the same way, right? Because you can't look at people as a blanket statement, as we tend to do in Western approaches, just giving people pills. We have to look at them holistically, and that's I think how this type of healing category as an umbrella really came about. So
No, absolutely. And I think, I think the perfect system would be the integration of both, right? Because if you break your leg, you're not going to go to your herbalist. You're going to go to the emergency room, right?
Yeah.
So I think that the future of medicine, if it could be the integration where we work together,
Yes.
it would be really, that would be a perfect union.
Yeah, and that's the hope, and I see that coming. That's the optimistic
Right.
view, of course, of where we're headed and what can be possible. So yes, and it's going to take providers like yourself that are, you know, these little pockets of light that are serving in this way to ultimately make that integration mainstream. So I just again commend you for what you do, how you do it, most importantly.
Well, thank you for giving all of us a platform. So I appreciate that. It's wonderful.
Yeah. You know, one thing I like to ask, and this is a fun little thing, but because there are a growing number of holistic healers or people that would kind of describe themselves that way, coming into online, into the world, serving in this way, and many, you know, do focus on holistic nutrition, Ayurveda, the modalities that you like and you serve to. What would you say is your differentiation, you know, to put it one way? Like if you had an X factor or some type of, you know, what is it that you see that makes you your own version of unique, right? And yeah, is there anything that you would highlight about yourself in that way?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I just think my constant curiosity, like I love all of it, right? There's not an area of holistic or integrative healing that I'm not interested in. And I just think it's for me, it's that ability to bring it all together to help someone. And, you know, to, like I mentioned, to pull from all these different areas, these different branches of the tree to be able to help someone and to treat them. And again, all holistic practitioners, we all treat people as a whole unit, right? Holistically. But I just love working with people and just, again, bringing all these elements together.
Yeah, and you know, some people may wink at that as to say, well, how is that real differentiation? But I can tell you with absolute certainty and um, from my own direct experience that that quality, curiosity, is one of the most fundamentally integral in terms of actually being able to serve and heal. Because this industry is one that is evolving so fast. We're learning and growing with the evolution of consciousness as it's happening, and it's never happened at a faster rate than right now. So to be aware and open-minded to the momentum of consciousness and to flow with it, and as opposed to staying rigid in your ways, right? That provides you with such an advantage to be able to adapt, to know, you know, to be in tune. Essentially, you're flowing with the flow of life. So that's a really wonderful way to describe what makes you quote unquote different in this world.
Well, you know, and also I tell people all the time, I go what the Buddhists refer to as the middle way. I don't, you know, if and I'm open in terms of, okay, if there are, like, for example, with herbal medicine, if someone is bipolar, herbs won't work for that. So, you know, you have to be open to say, okay, I understand there might be some limitations and where people may need conventional medicine to step in. Like I'd mentioned before, the integration, but I feel that's another strength, is that I'm willing to go that middle way and look at both sides of it and say, okay, what is the best plan for this particular person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And staying open,
Yep.
staying curious, it allows you to evaluate, you know, the wide breadth of modalities and options out there that would allow you to cultivate the widest tool set to be able to serve in the most authentic way based on what the client needs in that moment, right? So
Right. You have to let your ego go and say, okay,
yeah,
well, you know, what is going to help this person? That's really all that matters.
yeah. As
Yeah.
opposed to just saying breath work is the only thing that you need and
Right.
the only way to get better, and that's all you have to do is just breathe.
Right.
Even though
Right.
in
We're
some kind,
polarized enough in general, right? We don't need to do it here. You know.
yes,
Yeah.
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 No.
Yeah.
Okay, and just to confirm as well, in terms of the way in which you serve, it's primarily one-to-one, is that right? And some group stuff, is that correct me?
Yes, yep. Primarily one-to-one, but also with the coaching, I do group coaching as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. And you know, one thing I also like to ask, Maria, is you know, if there's just any type of guidance that you would like to share with the community through your own journey, from your experience. You know, and it can be in relevance to any point of the journey or anything in particular, but just asking you to look within to see if anything's coming up, that you'd like to impart with our community, something that you feel is really important, you know, to be aware of.
I think one of the most profound things along my journey was really studying mindfulness and meditation. It really, and it's not something that, and I think this is in general, nothing happens overnight, right? We don't get into certain situations overnight, and we're not getting out of them overnight.
Yeah.
It's a process. And the good stuff is the stuff you learn along the way. But I think bringing mindfulness and awareness into your life, well, it sounds simple, but it can be, as many of us know, it can be a hard thing to do. It can be a difficult thing to do. Really enhances your journey and helps you manage a lot in your life. I think just by being present, by being mindful, you know, they say that depression's living in the past, anxiety is living in the future, so we only have this moment. And I think that's such profound advice when I heard that, because especially if you've ever had anxiety, you know, and you realize like, all right, I'm in this moment. This moment's good. But they call it a practice for a reason, right? It's something that you have to constantly practice. But for me, it made profound changes in my life, and long-lasting, sustainable changes. Yeah.
Yeah. And how would you recommend somebody who perhaps, you know, is either new to meditation and mindfulness or has given up on it, even maybe more importantly? Because I know a lot of people who just say, I can't do it. You know, I've tried to meditate. And so they drop it and they haven't been able to pick it back up. But do you have any guidance there for those who are just kind of trying to dip their feet into this?
I think that if, you know, sitting down on a mat, right? Everyone thinks you have to sit down on a mat for 40 minutes. I think I have a couple of things on this. You can just, when you're laying in bed in the morning and when you're just about to get up, you can take a few minutes. But during your day, just start being aware of things. For example, when you're having a meal, be with that meal. If you're talking to a person, be with that person. You know, I often go in restaurants and I see two people at a restaurant and they're both on their phones. And I'm thinking, wow, it's interesting. That you're in that moment with the phone, but not what you're there to be doing. So I think just start noticing the moments. If it's the morning where you're enjoying a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, or if you're having a conversation, just realize that that's being aware and being in the moment. You know, if you can't sit on a mat, find things that you love to do that you can, once you're engaged in them, you don't even notice the passage of time, right? To find some things that bring you joy, and don't overwhelm yourself. Take 5 minutes a day to sit and just be silent. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but to just go somewhere and just be quiet for 5 minutes, then work your way up and see how that feels.
Yeah. Wonderful advice. And if you could just do just what you just described, that in and of itself truly could be life-changing, as it was for me, you know, because it all started with just the willingness and that little inkling and influx of awareness, just a touch, just enough. Awareness has its own momentum, and so it will snowball. And all you need to do is crack open the door, and then let that light come through a little bit, and then eventually you're just full bloom. And you know,
Oh, and it's great once you get to that point, and you start realizing, like, wow, I've gone through portions of my life where it's just you're on automatic pilot, and especially because everybody is so busy and racing at 100 miles an hour. I would like to say another thing. If people are having like a hard time getting back into meditation and mindfulness, I really would recommend that they listen to John Kabat-Zinn. Are you familiar? Yeah.
yeah, of course.
Yep. He is, one of the pioneers of the mindfulness meditation, MBSR. And I just think he comes at it in such a practical way, people to just be mindful in their day-to-day life. So I think, because some people need guidance and like a tape or an app that can guide them, which can be helpful.
Yeah, his MBSR courses are wonderful.
Amazing.
Yep. Very effective, very practical, succinct, and just clear. And very, I think, a nice bridge into this world for those who, we could describe as a bit more worldly or material, or just kind of in that jet stream of consciousness right now. And if you can just let yourself sit as you were describing, even if it's just for a couple minutes a day, or taking advantage of those opportunities throughout the day to be able to bring that awareness into the moment. That really is enough to serve as the launch pad into holistic healing, into all the stuff that we're doing here. And because look, life is meditation, and meditation is life, right?
No, you're absolutely right. And I even say take a minute or two during the day to take a few deep breaths. Something we don't do. Our breathing is so shallow, but to just take that time, and you'd be surprised. I started doing it twice a day many years ago, and it just kind of stops you and will reset you. So those little things are beneficial, and they don't take any time. Yeah.
Absolutely. And but speaking of the breath, I do think the breath is a powerful way to help return you back to safety, back to homeostasis, calming the nervous system, right? And because breath is, in Latin, the word spiritus means to breathe. And the breath is the spirit made manifest, right? It's the bridge that connects the unmanifested with the manifested. And if you can just become aware of the breath, which is what you just described, right? Just take a couple moments to connect with the breath, connect with spirit. That too, just that simple thing can have such a profound transformative effect on your physiology, right? On your biochemistry, on everything. It really is that powerful, and it's that simple.
Exactly. And that's what I tell people. They don't think that it's going to be something that can have such a profound effect, but it really does. Especially because, like we've said, most people are shallow breathers, and especially when you get stressed or anxious. So just to take a few, and we can all find 1 or 2 minutes. We all have to be able to find 1 or 2 minutes, right, to just sit and breathe and be. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that very wise advice. So simple, but so practical and so important. I'm really looking forward to getting to know you better, to working with you more, to helping you, just grow your reach and exposure to, a wider community of people who need this, who are starting to wake up to the realization that they need this, that this is serving them, has that power. So for everyone who tuned in and who will be listening the recordings of this, can find find out more about Maria in the member form with their partner profile, bio, direct booking links, discounts, all that good stuff. That's all in there.
Right. Thanks, Kim, so much. I really appreciate it. This is wonderful, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.